welcome to this week's episode of Powerful Stuff. And you guys, you know how that saying goes, there's no rest for the wicked? Well, there's no non-power for the powerful, if you know what I mean. It's effortless at the same time while holding ourselves to this high, powerful standard. So now that we've all made peace, loved, and accepted our shadow side last week, I thought I would just take you guys along for the upgrade these next few weeks because, why not? Give you a little taste of that experience. And if you're just joining, the upgrade is my 12-week group coaching program. And this is my 7th time running it, which is crazy. 7's also my lucky number. Fun fact. And this week in the upgrade, after we love our shadow side, we recognize our patterns, where they came from, how they're holding us back. Then we actually take it through the cycle of transformation. So this is what separates the rookies from the varsity, if you know what I mean. I don't even know what I mean, guys, but let me explain. So basically, we can stay in awareness hell forever. And awareness hell is like when we're like, oh, why does this keep happening to me? I'm so aware of my patterns, but why can't I change? And so it's great. Awareness is first step in the cycle of transformation, understanding our patterns, where they came from, how they're holding us back, and what is the cost if we don't change them. And if we stay in awareness hell, or if we just stay in that awareness, but we don't ever make a new action, we never make a new change. And if we never make a new change, then we never get a new data point that reinforces a new belief about ourselves. And then we never start to step into that belief and start acting from that place and step into our dream reality, if you know what I'm saying. So basically, the cycle of transformation takes us from awareness and shifts us into action. And that's why I like to say change is from awareness plus action, right? Awareness of what we're doing, why we're doing it, what we want to do, and what is that new action? What is that new shift? Boom, magic. Okay, so as I was saying, in the upgrade, we do the 12 weeks, but we do patterns first, or firstly, we do a lifestyle audit. Let's just lay everything out on the table. What are we doing? What's sparking joy? What's not sparking joy? What is the gap between where we are and where we want to be? Just like an honest assessment, as you would with anything. Do that initial audit of like your clothes before you get rid of some or donate some and then buy some new clothes. You kind of want to know, like, what do I have? What matches? What stays? What sparks joy? So we do that. Then we look at the patterns. What are the patterns that are blocking me from getting to that dream reality? Where did they come from in my childhood? Why are they still showing up? How are they still showing up? What do I need to do to heal that part of me? So basically, what do I like? How can I remind my inner child and my current self that I'm safe to make a new choice? And then from there, we do an even deeper dive in patterns, because patterns and understanding and unpacking our patterns is absolutely life-changing, guys. So many people in the upgrade say this is one of their favorite things. So we look at feedback loops. So feedback loops are like either negative feedback loops or positive feedback loops, right? Negative feedback loops reinforce, or they're like, let's say it's governed by a belief. Like, let's say the belief is I am not enough. And then a trigger happens. The trigger is like someone doesn't invite me to their birthday. If we believe I'm not enough, we go into the story of like, they don't invite me, I'm excluded. They must not like me. Like, I'm a loser, or whatever it might be. And then that might cause us to pull away or act awkward or shut down, which then we don't reach out to people. We don't socialize, right? So it keeps reinforcing that I am not enough because we're not being proactive. But if I am enough on the positive feedback loop side, I might have given you guys this example before. So I was going to say, please forgive me, but actually maybe we all just needed to hear it a new time. You know what I'm saying? Hear it with fresh ears. Get it even more imprinted into our psyche. So the positive feedback loop of I am enough, the trigger remains the same. Let's say someone doesn't invite us to their birthday party. Fuck them. No, I'm just kidding. But the positive feedback loop, when we do know we're enough, they don't invite us, but the emotional story is, okay, maybe they just forgot. How do I feel in their energy? Is that a friendship that I want to continue to maintain? And if it is, like, what could I do to be more proactive in that friendship, or just show up for that person in a way that doesn't make them feel guilty for not inviting me, but lets them know that I'm excited to step it up in our friendship. So these are all like positive feedback loop behaviors. So once we looked at those in the upgrade, then we went on to the shadow side, which you guys did with me last week. We all got into our like Katniss shadow bad bitch energy of loving our shadow side, letting her speak. And as we remember from last week, hopefully, like, your shadow side isn't a villain, you know, and just because you love your shadow side doesn't mean you're going to do all this shadow behavior from here on out. It just means you're letting your shadow side speak. You're acknowledging her and you're saying, I get it. I'm not shaming you for it. You're bringing your shadow to the light. Okay, so now we're in the cycle of transformation, which is where we are today. I don't know why I just took on a little twang, just getting so excited about our cycle of transformation. And yeah, I was just going to make a laundry analogy. I'm like, are we doing a heavy load cycle? Like extra dry, super hot. But yeah, brings us to the cycle of transformation. So this is what gets us out of awareness hell and into new behaviors. So I really learned the framework for this cycle of transformation, as you guys heard me talk about a lot, which is the Hoffman process. So the Hoffman process is a process that I went to in Petaluma in the Bay, and they lead you through a 1-week total transformation, repatterning old childhood wounds, healing your inner child, healing your dynamics with each parent, and then reemerging back into the world with tools to help reinforce positive beliefs about yourself and the world around you. And so they have this framework called the cycle of transformation, and it is in 4 steps. We are going to go through those steps today, y'all. I'm going to give you an overview of it, and of each step. I'm going to give you an overview in general, let's say, and then we'll go through each step together. How does that sound? Great. Okay. Wow. I'm loving how excited you are. I'm excited too. Who knows what we're going to embark on, but we're ready to go into this uncertainty. And before I get too ahead of myself, what I like to say in these journeys is, as we go through the cycle of transformation, you'll come out on the other side with new insights. But where we really have trial by fire is when we actually take what we've learned in this podcast, in a coaching session, in a workshop, and we actually take the new action. We do the scary thing. And again, stepping into that uncertainty, it's so important to remind our inner self, I love you unconditionally, even if you quote unquote fail, there's never, failure doesn't exist, I believe, as long as we get back up and we learn and grow from it. But, you know, I'm going to love you unconditionally, regardless of the outcome. I'm just proud of you for doing it. So reminding our inner self that, so they don't feel like we're going to reject them if it doesn't go the way we want it to. Okay. I know we're all at the edge of our seats. We're like, Meredith, tell us the 4 steps. Okay. So step number 1 is awareness. So we cultivate awareness through doing different things, like pattern tracing. Where did the pattern come from? Why is it still showing up? What is the cost? Or we can do it through a little meditation, which I'll lead you guys through today. Then the second step after we have that awareness is the expression, getting that anger around that pattern, around our behavior, out of our body. So when I lead the women in the upgrade through it, I do it through holotropic breath work, transformative breath work, to like breathe out that anger, that sadness, that anxiety that comes with the pattern. And this is really powerful, and the expression is really important because, as you heard us talk about on Powerful Stuff before, like, the body keeps score, and if we swallow our emotions, it gets lodged in our bodies and causes things like chronic stress, tension, a slew of other things that are no bueno. So it's important to get it up and out. And as you guys have probably heard me say many a time, as Edith Eger says, feel it to heal it, right? So allowing ourselves the full feeling of it, almost kind of imagine like you're cleaning out a pipe and you're pulling everything to the surface of the pipe, like all the gunk. You have to kind of pull it up and like look at it and be like, ooh, this was all in there. And I'm looking at it and now I can release it. Kind of like when you take out the trash, right? So if you leave it down there, it's going to stay down there and it's going to start to stink. But if you look at the trash, smell it on the way out, and then put it in the dumpster, it gets taken out and it's cleared out. So that's what expression is. So we can do a breath work. You can scream into a pillow. You could go for a car ride and scream, let it out. You could do a shadow dance. You could write a fuck you letter and light it on fire safely and put it in a metal bowl or in the sink and safely put out that fire. Or you could flush it down the toilet. Yeah, just anything that helps you get it out, stomping it out, going to a rage room. Then once you've cleared out the expression, you've cleared out all of that gunk, that stuck energy, then you go into self-compassion and forgiveness, right? Forgiving yourself and maybe others involved in the learning of that pattern, because you were just doing the best you could with what you had. You were just doing the best you could with what you had at the time. And from there, once you've forgiven yourself, then you move into the new behavior. What is my new choice? Now that I've gotten awareness, I've cleaned it out with the expression, I've forgiven myself. What is that new empowered highest self choice? And what do I need to do? What trust do I need to give myself to be able to step into that? And that is how we complete the cycle of transformation. Woo! Okay, let's go through it step by step together. And I'll give you an example from my own life. I'm like, what should I choose? This is a toughie. I know we already talked about scrolling and procrastination when I was doing the shadow side stuff. So I'm like, feeling healed. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, and that brings up a good point. You know, we never one and done. There's never a silver bullet. It's all about doing these, continuing to pull back more awareness, continuing to have more action, pull back more awareness, have more action, pull back more awareness, have more action. And so it like grows over time. And yeah, it's even if you're like, oh, I thought I healed that and powerful stuff. Come back, re-listen. If it's showing up again, it just means that you've taken a few decades to learn something one way and you just need to reinforce new neural pathways in the other direction. Okay, so let's start with awareness. And I want you to think of a pattern. And a pattern is like, again, something that you keep doing. And you're like, why do I keep doing this? Or maybe you barely even realize you're doing it, but it continues to kind of like self-sabotage, getting you further away from like the life or the thing that you say you want. So just writing out what that pattern is. So I'll do one about, I'll do one where I feel like, okay, I feel like I get triggered and I shut down when I feel like my husband isn't being present with me, if he's like responding and he's like on his computer or doing something on his phone, and I get kind of like triggered and I shut down. Okay, so that's my pattern. So what is the belief under your pattern? So the belief under my pattern is maybe like, you know, I am not lovable, because if I was, he would be giving me his full attention, not this computer or whatever. Like that might be the deep belief. So what is the deep belief around your pattern? And then the third part is, can you trace this pattern back to where you might have first learned it? And it's also not to necessarily blame like your parents or caretakers if you think back to a part where you might have learned it from them, because they might have just been doing the best they could with what they had or not realized it, right? So maybe I learned it from when my parents were working hard when I was little and I wanted their attention, and maybe they had something to do. Maybe I learned it from, kind of like wanting their attention when they were like in work mode when I was little. So maybe closing your eyes. At this point, I usually guide a little meditation. So closing your eyes and just taking a moment to take a deep breath in and open mouth exhale. And as you think of this pattern, imagine that you are walking on the beach feeling the sand beneath your toes, feeling the wind on your skin, and imagining that you come to a beautiful magic carpet. And on this magic carpet you go. The magic carpet has a safety seatbelt. You strap it in, feeling safe and secure as it lifts you up through the clouds. And it takes you through a portal, opening up to a scene from your childhood where you first learned this pattern. And then just taking a look around, noticing how old you are in this scene. Noticing who else is in the scene. Noticing how your younger self starts to develop this pattern because they somehow believe it'll keep them safe. They're doing it out of their own protection. Just looking at that with so much compassion. And then getting off the magic carpet, going up to your younger self and just asking them why they keep doing this pattern. Why do they feel like it will keep them safe? Just listening without judgment, trusting whatever they say. And then asking your younger self what they need from you to feel safe moving forward. What do they need from you to feel safe, to trust you moving forward to break this pattern? What reassurance do they need from you? Letting your younger self know that you can do this, that you love them. Thanking them, giving them a hug, reminding them how much you care about them, how enough they already are. And then getting back on the magic carpet, strapping back down. And the magic carpet lifts up into the sky, and it opens up to a scene from your old age where you see the cost if you don't change this pattern. What happens if you don't change this pattern? What are the unintended consequences 10, 20, 30 years down the line? Just noticing your older self and their energy in this scene. Noticing how the energy feels. Noticing what this pattern has robbed your older self of. And just going up to this older self and asking them, what do they regret the most? What does this pattern cost them? Letting them answer. Thanking them, getting back on the carpet, telling them you love them, strapping in. The magic carpet floats down through the clouds, back down, softly landing on the beach. You unbuckle, step off the magic carpet, feeling once again the sand beneath your toes, taking a deep breath in, and exhale to arrive back in this room, coming back into this space. And as you open your eyes, let's discuss together more awareness. So where did that pattern come from? Write it down. Why did your younger self think that that pattern would keep you safe? Write that down with more awareness. And then, what does your younger self need from you to feel safe with you, to break this pattern, to step into the unknown, right? Oftentimes we can stay in the familiar, in what we know, even if we don't like it, because it's what's consistent, it's what's safe. So what does your younger self need from you? And then, what is the cost if you don't change this pattern? Noticing the scene from your old age. What is the cost if you don't change this pattern? So for me, my cost, if I don't change that pattern of like maybe shutting down or getting frustrated, is taking things personally, foregoing connection, missing an opportunity to reconnect with myself and thus then with him and others. Stewing on things, holding on to things, reaffirming like a negative viewpoint in the world because that reaffirms the frustration or the belief of like, I'm not enough or I don't deserve full attention or whatever it might be. I'm just adjusting a little mascara on my eye if anyone is watching this on YouTube. Okay, so now that we have the awareness, we can move on to the expression. So the expression is getting this out of your body. So I want you to first just write like a fuck you letter out, like either to this pattern or from your shadow side to yourself of like, you always do this, this always happens. Just any like anger around the pattern or that belief of the world, what it's cost you, like, and how dare it have costed you this? And also anyone involved in the creation of the pattern that you want to get anger out toward. So put on some angry music. I love The Only Thing We Know by Bob Moses as my song. And then once you've written it, pause it right here if you haven't. And then unpause once you've written it. And then I want you to rip it out from your journal and rip it up and then stomp on it. And I'm going to stomp with you. And you're just going to let out a big scream and shake it out and be like, ah. Do it once more and pull out any like black tar or stuckness from your body and throw it into the earth and just Wow. And just close your eyes, standing there, right there. Place your hand on your heart, one other hand on your stomach, and just breathing there. Feeling that space in between your heart and your root. Feeling that spaciousness. Feeling that relief from the release. And then we can go from here into self-forgiveness. So keeping your eyes closed, just asking your younger self for forgiveness and just telling them as you look at your younger self, beautiful, perfectly imperfect, placing your hands on their shoulders, telling them as if you're looking at your 6-year-old self, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Seeing them morph into your adolescent self, telling them, I love you. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Seeing them morph into your 20-something self. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Seeing them morph into the you a few years ago, telling them, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And then seeing them morph into you in present day, looking yourself in the eye and telling yourself, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And then just giving yourself a hug. Breathing this forgiveness and compassion in. And then while you still have your eyes closed, bringing anyone else's face to mind who you'd like to forgive or be forgiven by. And just repeating this prayer. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And then opening your eyes, coming back into this space. And in this state of forgiveness, I want you to get out your journal once more. And I want you to write a love letter, a letter of forgiveness to your younger self. And apologize to them for all the times that you've made them feel not enough, that you've looked for love or validation in other places, that you've broken their trust. And just acknowledge like why they might have acted out, why they might have felt certain ways, why they might have felt abandoned by you. And just have so much compassion for them and for your present day self. So I want you to pause, put on some healing music of forgiveness. I love this song, Dear Soul. And write why you forgive yourself to yourself in second person. So spend a few minutes writing this and then saying it back out loud to yourself in the mirror. That's going to be extra powerful to look at yourself in the mirror and say this. So pause and come back when your letter is done. Okay. Wow. Powerful stuff. Self-forgiveness and self-compassion, I always say to my clients, like if I can leave you with one thing, it's to be compassionate with yourself and to remain curious. Because if we're curious, nothing is ever a mistake and we never fuck up. We're always like, oh, I'm curious why that triggered that in me. I'm curious why I responded that way. And having compassion for ourselves. Oh, maybe I wasn't feeling seen this week. Maybe I just needed a little extra love. And if we can be compassionate when we fuck up and say, okay, Meredith, you're hurting. What do you need? That's going to allow us to soften, to stay open, to stay vulnerable, to keep trying versus if we have helicopter energy parent of like, you fucked up again. You fucking suck. I'm saying fuck a lot this episode, guys. Please forgive me. But yeah, so it's having compassion and it's having curiosity. And one other powerful self-compassion exercise, like this episode might as well be sponsored by Hoffman because I love it. If anyone who's been to the Hoffman Institute, done the Hoffman process, is listening, shout out to these tool refresh. I love Hoffman. It's changed my life. Recommend it to all my clients. But yeah, so the self-compassion, you can also do a self-forgiveness walk. And so self-forgiveness, self-compassion walk is where you go on a walk and for 10 minutes or however long in one direction with each step, you say, I forgive myself for. So I forgive myself for shutting down or snapping at my husband. I forgive myself for pulling away. I forgive myself for letting it fester a bad mood. I forgive myself for making me snap even more or look for more things to snap about, right? And it doesn't just have to be related to your pattern. You can keep speaking softly to yourself for each step, and you might surprise yourself for other things you didn't even know you needed to forgive yourself for. When I went on this walk, I found myself forgiving myself for things I did when I was in middle school. I was like, okay, little Meredith needed that. Grateful. And then on the second half of the walk, when you come back, then go on the self-compassion part where you say, I love myself. I love myself for being curious enough to do this work. I love myself for wanting to improve my relationship. I love myself for taking the time to listen to powerful stuff and do it with Meredith, whatever that might be. So I highly recommend that. Okay, so guys, we've made it through the awareness, the expression, the self-compassion, and dun da da da. We've all made it to new behavior because we're living and growing every day. Just makes you want to sing this cycle of transformation. So now that we've made it to the new behavior, we get to decide how we're ready to show up as our highest self on the other side of this pattern. So I'm going to do yet another meditation that they teach us in Hoffman. And this is great for the new behavior. And then I'll give you a few extra little tools to really dial this in for your own new behavior. So you can take it with you on your journey into all these beautiful new behaviors. Okay, so go ahead and close your eyes. Take yet another deep breath in and exhaling it out. Another breath in to power down your thinking mind, and exhale, release it. And as your gaze is turned inward, bring to mind an old situation or a recent situation where you were in this pattern acting not as your highest self. When you were in this pattern and you were kind of spiraling in the negative direction. And just replaying this for a second, noticing how it feels in your body. Noticing how it feels in the scene, how that energy that you have affects the other people in the scene, then how that affects you and how that totally spirals. And then notice how it spills over into other areas of your life, spiraling into other areas, affecting other areas of your life. And go ahead and place your hands on the part of your body where the pattern feels most present. Maybe it's your heart, your gut, your head, your throat. And with your hands on that part of your body, go ahead and trace the root of that pattern back to where you first learned it as a child. Once again, seeing that scene from your childhood where you first might have learned it flash before your mind's eye. And then trace that back a step further to notice where you might have learned it from a parent or a caretaker. And where they might have learned it as a child. And then keeping your eyes closed with both hands, imagine you're pulling this old pattern once and for all out of your body, getting any last remaining things, like you're pulling out tar from your body, just pulling it out, holding it in front of you, and in your mind's eye, just noticing how it looks and feels, feeling the weight of it. And then keeping both eyes closed, start to rub your hands together, rubbing your hands together, transforming the pattern into something amazing and magnificent and wonderful, and opening your hands and in your mind's eye, seeing the new beautiful energy that has been created in place of this old pattern. Maybe it's an object or an essence. And then go ahead and lift this beautiful new energy up and place it back on the part of your body where the old pattern left. And start to breathe this in, breathing in this new essence, feeling it trickle down, igniting each cell of your body. Feeling it lift your spine, lifting the crown of your head, bringing a smile to your lips until you become your most powerful, highest self. And in this centered energy of this all-knowing version of you who always knows what to do, go ahead and replay the scene with the pattern, but this time from the energy of your highest self. What does your highest self do during this trigger? How does your highest self actually show up differently? What is the new choice that you now make? Operating from this deep place of knowing your worth, of trusting. How does the scene shift? And how does your energy shifting shift the energy of the others in the scene? And then how does that elevate the scene, shifting the scene? And then how does that ripple into other areas of your life? How does that elevate your relationships? How does that elevate your time spent with yourself? How does that elevate your creativity? How does that elevate other areas of your life? Just feeling that play out, breathing into that new behavior. And how does that version of you who shows up in the scene in this positive way, how does that version of you dress? How does that version of you savor your food? How does that version of you spend quiet time alone? Seeing all these actions come before your eyes of how that version of you shows up. Feeling into that empowered sense of self. And then taking a deep breath in, breathing in this highest self energy, exhaling it out, opening your eyes, coming back into this space. Wow. How was that for you on the other side of the cycle of transformation? So go ahead and write down. I want you to, once again, pause the recording, write down all of your new behaviors. like I am, and I am statements, like how you would respond in the scene. I am not getting overreactive. I am remaining calm. I am being curious and asking questions. And then spilling it over into other parts of your life is, how does that version of you show up, in other facets of work? How does that version of you show up in other relationships? How does that version of you show up? I am doing this. I'm doing this. I am doing this. Like, who is that version of you who's living from that new behavior? So take a few minutes, do stream of consciousness writing. I like to play Moon, parentheses, and it went like, by Kid Francescoli. And just don't let your pen leave the paper, and reaffirm all of these things that the person of you in that new behavior is doing. Ready, set, go. Okay. Yeah, I'll share some of mine. So I am responding with patience. I am responding with curiosity. I am using this as a moment to deepen intimacy. I am not taking it personally, and therefore I am being slower in my conversation with my husband. I am being slower than in my conversation with friends, and really listening to friends, so that I don't have as much social anxiety later, because I'm always feeling like I'm being intentional and slow and listening, and that people know my heart. I am being intentional with the clothes that I wear. I am wearing things that make me feel good and sexy and elevated and centered. I am having spaciousness in my schedule, so I never feel rushed. So do you see how, like, one little instance of my own little pattern of shutting down or something with my husband can lead to a slew of other, like, breakthroughs and new behavior data points in other parts of my life. So to really solidify this new behavior, I want you to take action this week. So with the new behaviors that you've written, circle like 3 or 4 of them and be like, these are things that I'm actually going to do this week. This is how I'm actually going to step into this new behavior, because we're now forming new neural pathways. And this is the walking the fire part. Now that we've forgiven ourselves, we've gotten the other stuff out of our body, this is where we actually make the shift in how we show up in the new choice we make. Viktor Frankl has this quote: between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space is a choice, and in that choice is our freedom. So this is where we break the negative feedback loop, is when we make that new choice. And as we make new choices, we form new neural pathways, which give us new data points, which help us form new beliefs about ourselves and the world. So take all of your new behaviors, and I want you to actually act on some this week. Let me know which ones you act on, guys. For me, I think I'll be doing like my intentional wardrobe, savoring my food, slowing down in conversations, approaching any like snippety snips with my husband with curiosity. And this is how we change. This is how we grow. And also, I like to note that as we're doing this work, we are going to be tested, because it's like, okay, I've done this work. I'm feeling amazing. I have these new choices. And the universe is going to be like, oh yeah, you think you can change? The universe, high self, whatever you want to call it. And it's going to throw a test at you. And in that test, it's not to drop down to your lower level and be like, oh fuck, change isn't possible. I guess I can't change. That is when you double down, my friends. That is when you double down and you say, I'm going to give myself even more compassion. I'm going to still hold the vision that change is possible. I'm going to still act as if, even though every part of my being is being tested right now. And that's why this woman, Florence Cole, which is funny because Florence and the Machine actually have a song called this too, or not Florence Cole, but Florence Scovel Shinn. My friend Renata gave me these books of hers, and she's like the OG secret, like become what you speak kind of person, like our words are our wand. And she has the expression there, it's always darkest before the dawn. Things are coming up so we can look at them and clear them out. So just know that as you're doing this work, you will be tested, but they're coming up so they can come up and clear out. And then coincidentally, or maybe not coincidence, maybe intentionally, Florence and the Machine has that song, It's Always Darkest Before the Dawn, as well. So it's like 2 Florences telling us it's darkest before the dawn, telling us to lean into our trust. Okay, guys, I hope you had a powerful cycle of transformation. Please write to me. Let me know what transformed for you, what is showing up. Okay. Well, let's close out with our 3 breaths. So taking a deep breath in, breathing in all that we talked about today, breathing in and exhaling it out, trusting that it's perfectly as it was supposed to be. Second breath, breathing in anything that still feels like a question mark, anything that we didn't touch on today, and exhaling that out, trusting that is as well perfect. It was exactly as it's meant to be. And then third breath in, breathing in this new behavior, this trust in yourself, and exhaling it out, letting that guide you through your week as you shift into your new and true behavior. Okay, beautiful, everybody. Thank you for going through the cycle of transformation with me. Once again, shout out to Hoffman Process, who I love, changed my life, countless others, highly influential in my coaching. And if you guys are curious about coaching, going deeper, or want to hear more about the upgrade, you can go to themeredithbaker.com and you can book a little discovery call with me there. Otherwise, I will see you next week for more powerful stuff. Hey, you. Thank you for coming on this powerful journey with me. I hope it was as powerful for you as it was for me. And if it was, it would mean the world to me if you rate, review, and subscribe to Powerful Stuff so I can keep bringing you the goods. We can keep going on this transformative journey together. And if there's powerful stuff that you want to share with me, with the Powerful Stuff community, tag us on Instagram at That's Powerful Stuff or The Meredith Baker. And I look forward to seeing you next week for more powerful stuff.